All right, let's talk about this latest annoying thing that I've been seeing on social media. So, I've been seeing some posts lately that say things like, oh, I don't care if they're illegal. Like, oh, you're so good. You're just so much better than the rest of us. You're a good person, and we're all just terrible, horrible, racist bigots. And I mean, it's so annoying, these people who, the virtue signaling. Like, dude, get the fuck out of here. If you're actually out in the world doing good and helping people, you don't virtue signal about it. I never do. Because I don't care who knows about it or who sees it. When I help people, I do it because I don't like to see them suffer. And it's that simple. I'm not doing it because I want rewards from God or because I want everyone to think I'm a good person. That God knows me. You know what I mean? And in a lot of ways, I'm giving back. You know what I mean? Because I feel that God has blessed me in a lot of ways. So I don't, I have no reason to virtue signal it, And I don't even, it's not like I'm out here, saving kids from the orphanage or, if a homeless person asks me for money, sometimes I give it to them, sometimes I don't. But when I do, it's not like I'm going to make a post about it. You know what I mean? So it kills me when they say, oh, I don't care if they're illegal, because these people are completely out of touch with reality. Because here's the thing. Our economy is upside down. Nobody can afford to live here. If you keep flooding the country with more people, legal or illegal, the economy is just going to get worse. So it's like these people who have never dealt with any kind of hardship ever are trying to pass judgment on the rest of us who just want to be able to make a living in the country, in our native country that we were born in. It's like, it disgusts me, because you're not doing no good in the world. You're pretending to, and you're actually screwing things up for the rest of us. So another post that I see that drives me nuts is when they're like, all the cows are dying because there's no illegal immigrants to take care of them. As if cows are hard to maintain. They eat grass and they drink water. You don't need an army of people to maintain them and groom them. You know what I mean? It's not like they're not like elephants or tigers. They're very easy to maintain. And then another post that I see that really annoys the shit out of me is when they're like, well, who's going to pick the crops if there's no illegals? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'll fucking pick them. Pay me $20 an hour. I'll be out there picking those crops and whistling a merry tune the whole day, enjoying myself, enjoying the sun, enjoying the outdoors. It really annoys me because they brainwash y'all and they gaslight y'all into thinking that, oh, well, white people, they don't work outside. What? Like, who do you think built these societies? I know that they tell you, oh, the slaves built it. No, they didn't. The slaves picked cotton. They didn't build cities. They couldn't build cities. Do you think it doesn't require skill to build things level and square? You think they're going to teach a slave all these valuable, expensive skills? I mean, it's also stupid. I mean, I got to be honest with y'all. The history that we are taught, I do not believe much of it. And I've got sources on Patreon who say, dude, the history is nonsense. But there's a whole lot of things that just don't make sense to me. And I got to be honest, slavery is one of them. It's like, I don't understand why you would travel to the other side of the world to kidnap people to pick cotton. I mean, what? Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And, so, and here's the other thing. Slavery is alive and well. the only way to enslave a person, and in my opinion, this is true all throughout history. If the person knows they're a slave, they're going to resent you, they're going to build up anger, eventually they're going to rebel. That is inevitable. And not only that, just the regular people who have nothing to do with it, they're going to be disgusted by it, and they're going to want to rebel against you. It's going to cause you nothing but problems by having slaves and just doing it out in the open. You're never going to get away with it. You might be able to get away with it for a little while, but sooner or later there's going to be a rebellion, and they're going to have no mercy on you. You know what I mean? And the people who control the world are very aware of that fact. That is why they have created this entire construct. This entire society is built for one reason and one reason only, and that reason is to keep you from putting two and two together and realizing that you are a slave. Now, it's funny to me because I used to try to sell myself, and I couldn't even get that accomplished. Every time I would, get a job or something would go wrong. Watch my previous videos if you want all the details, but all I ever really wanted when I was younger was just a steady job. Now, once I discovered working outside, it was like being set free, honestly. Now, a lot of people, they gaslight you guys into thinking that, doing hard labor or construction or a trade, they gaslight you into thinking that's like beneath you. Like, oh, you should be working in an office or something. In my opinion, you would be a lot healthier and a lot happier if you worked outside. Now, everyone is different, but let me tell you something. When I went from telemarketing to working outside, and I'll never forget it, because I was at this telemarketing job where I was selling, gas over the phone in deregulated states. I'm trying to get them to switch their gas company, basically. And sometimes, it depending on what state and what program they had me selling, sometimes we were saving the people money. Sometimes we were saving them money in the short run, but their rate is going to go up in the winter. And so in the long run, we're not saving them money. We're kind of screwing them out of a little bit of money. Not a lot, but a little. But I had a problem selling that because I know in the deepest part of my consciousness that you're better off not doing this. You know what I mean? You're not gonna go bankrupt if you switch to the company I'm trying to sell you on, but it ain't gonna do you no good. It's actually gonna hurt you a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. It's gonna cost you some money. So when they would ask me, is it going to be cheaper? I'd be like, I couldn't lie to them, which my bosses literally expected me to kind of bullshit them. And so, but I wasn't willing to do that. So I'd tell them straight up, like, look, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm putting you on a variable rate, which means it's going to drop right now. I can't guarantee it's always going to stay at that rate. And right then and there, the people will be like, well, I'm not switching then, And I'd be like, I get it. Have a good day. And my bosses would be like, you can't sell them like that. And I'd be like, dude, what do you want me to fucking tell them? I'm not saving them money. I can't tell them I'm going to save them money when I am not saving them money. You know what I mean? But there were other programs they'd put me on where I was saving them money. And when I would sell those people, I'd be like, I'm about to save you money. Here's my name and number. If you don't save money, I want you to fucking call me up, ask for me by name. I guarantee you. I would sell them, no problem. I was selling everyone. And so my bosses didn't want to fire me because they knew that if they put me on the right thing, I'd kill it. But anyways, so what ended up happening was I just couldn't stand the job. And I'm telling y'all, like, the shift at the job was like a 4 or 5 hour shift, but I would go in early because I knew if I was on like a program I didn't like, I wasn't going to be making a whole lot of commission, so I wanted the extra hourly pay. But my God, it was torture to sit there for 7 or 8 hours. Now, I could go outside and smoke a cigarette whenever I want, but still, just 7 or 8 hours of sitting in this office. There was a lot of hot girls working there. I'll give them that. But I was too broke to even deal with any of those girls anyway. You know what I mean? I'll never forget the girl that used to sit next to me. Her name was Jessica. I was like 20, early 20s at the time, and she was 19. And she would sit next to me in these little tiny shorts with her feet up on the chair, and I'd be sitting next to her like I couldn't think of anything but her. And she was so fucking hot, bro. Like, this girl was so fine, dude. And she knew what she was doing. I mean, I'd be like flustered sitting next to her all day. Like, I didn't even like, I was like not sure if I should look because her feet are up on the chair and she's wearing these little shorts, and I'm just like, I loved it though. I she was the only thing that I liked about the job. I actually got her number once, but I was too broke to really do anything about it. I was a little insecure, a little dumbass back then too. Anyways, so but God, she was the highlight of the day though. But there was a lot of hot girls in there, bro. But so anyways, the job was torture. And I was like, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I can't spend the rest of my life doing this, dude. When you're 20 years old, you don't realize that this is a marathon. This ain't a sprint. Whatever you're doing at 20, odds are you are not going to be doing that in the future. Speaking from my own experience, my life has changed so many times, But at 20, when I'm working at this place, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, And I'd be sitting in this job thinking to myself, I can't do this for the rest of my life, bro. I just can't do it. This is torture. This is hell. I can't put up with it. And on top of that, I wasn't making much money because I was only getting commission on certain, if they put me on certain things. And so I was just like, this is hell on earth. And so then I had the brilliant idea. I got to say, I was so broke at the time that I kept having to get these cash advance loans where, you have to pay interest on it. And it really wasn't helping me. It was just like helping me to pay my bills, but I was always behind. You know what I mean? I was so broke. And I hated the job, and I hated the work, and I hated life. I loved my apartment, and I was afraid to lose it, but I was like, man, I can't do this. And then finally, one day, I had the brilliant idea, or maybe someone said something to me, I don't know. But I'm not sure exactly what triggered me to call my buddy who runs the sod business, but I did. And I was like, Jay, I need a job, bro. And I mean a full-time job. I was like, are you working or what? He's like, dude, I got all kinds of fucking work right now. He's like, I'm glad you called. He's like, yeah. He's like, I got a ton of work. I need people. And he's like, I'll give you full time, bro. Full 40 hours a week. He's like, come by my house tomorrow morning and we can start working tomorrow. He's like, I got a bunch of shit going on. I got one kid working for me. And I'm glad you called because I need somebody. And so I started working for Jay. And I'll never forget that first day working outside. I show up and Brent, my boy Brent, is working. This is before the Cuban was working. Brent was a couple of years younger than me, kind of hillbilly-ish. I liked Brent, but me and Brent also used to go at it a lot. He was a couple of years younger than me, but bigger than me. But we would be a little competitive at times because I felt like this little young ass kid should be respecting me, and he's thinking this little skinny motherfucker, I could beat his ass. You know what I mean? So we'd go at it quite a bit. Towards the end, we were really going at it. I was like ready to attack him. I was like, I could beat you. Like, he thought he could beat me. I thought I could beat him. But in the long, I love Brent. We're totally over all that. But so I show up and it's me and Brent working, and Jay drops us off on the job, and we work all day. Now, to lay sod, here's what you're doing. You run a sod cutter over the old lawn, you chop it all up. Now, on paper, it's supposed to come up in pieces of sod, nice and neat. You pick up the pieces of sod, you throw them in the trailer. It never goes that way. It comes up in piles of dirt and grass. It's all chopped up. So after we run over it with the sod cutter, we rake it all into rows, and then we go up the rows with a wheelbarrow, shoveling it all into the wheelbarrow till the wheelbarrow's full, roll it over to the trailer, and dump it in. It's a hard fucking workout all fucking day. And I mean, sometimes these wheelbarrows are probably 100 pounds. It's all dirt and grass, depending on how wet it's been, you know what I mean? And so you're shuffling all day, which builds your arms up, and then you take the wheelbarrow over to the trailer, depending on which trailer we had. One of the trailers was huge, and you're lifting it up over your head all day, like one person on each side of the wheelbarrow. My first day working, I was just like, holy shit, can I do this? Like, I don't know if I have the strength to do this all day. The first wheelbarrow we lifted, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get it up. I was just like, please God, don't let me make an ass of myself. If I drop this wheelbarrow, it could be bad for both of us. But I got it up. And I'm telling y'all, after that first day of working, I've never been so exhausted. I couldn't believe, when you're used to sitting there on the phone all day, and then the next day you're outside doing the hardest physical labor you can imagine, heavy lifting all day, 8 hours. And I don't know what kept me on my feet that day, but I'll never forget when I got home that night, I've never been so exhausted. And I was thinking, and I was so sore. I mean, it was a fucking workout, bro. And I was just like, I don't know if I could do that again tomorrow, but I can tell you one thing, I feel really good. And the other thing is, compared to sitting in that cooped up office all day, we were outside in the beautiful Florida weather, my shirt's off, I'm getting a suntan. I felt fucking great. I felt like I had been freed from prison or something. Being under those fluorescent lights in that office all day, I didn't realize what torture it was until I worked outside. And I was like, I never want to go back to working in the office. I kept the office job as the night job, but I was thinking to myself, man, I really hope Jay can keep me working, and I hope I can physically keep doing it, because the whole day, me and Brent just bullshitting. It didn't even feel like work. Me and Brent were talking about, video games and whatever. We were talking all day. And another thing, as it turns out, Brent was best friends with this kid that lived up the street from me, who was, I was pretty good friends with him. He was younger than me, but as it turns out, I used to be in this kid's pool every day one summer, because I also knew his sister. My father knew his father. So anyways, as it turns out, Brent was best friends with my boy Chris, who lived up the street from me, who I used to hang out with on and off. He was some kid in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? But he was younger, so I was hanging out with my friends, but I was always cool with Chris, you know what I mean? So me and Brent were just bullshitting, talking all day. I felt like it wasn't even work compared to the torture of sitting in that place, making the calls and the telemarketing and the fluorescent light, being out in the sunlight with my shirt off, doing hard work all day. Y'all have no idea what you're missing. To me, it absolutely boggles my mind that anyone would choose to work in an office over working outside. I was like, this I can do for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And I never minded laying sod. It like, before that, every job I had was torture. The first job I had was Checkers, fast food. Hell on earth. The next job, I actually kind of liked that job. It was at a lawn place, telemarketing, trying to sell people lawn care and shit. That was a fun job because a lot of my friends worked there. But and then I ended up getting fired from there more than once. I'd get fired, I'd go back, they'd fire me again. But it was nothing like when I finally got to working outside. I was thinking to myself, this is it for me. For the rest of my life, I'm working outside. And with the sod thing, the longer I worked, the better I got at it, the more my boss paid me. By the end of it, I was making a couple $1,000 a week. Early 20s, my rent was $400 or $500 a month. I was rich, bro. And I was expecting this to go on for the rest of my life. Then a bunch of hurricanes took us out. I started doing construction. I never minded either, bro. Here's the thing. They gaslight you guys into thinking, oh, white people don't work outside. Dude, let me tell you something. In construction, back when I used to do it, the majority of people doing it were white. You'd see the occasional black dude out there, but for whatever reason, they don't like working outside. The entire time I've worked outside, that's laying sod and doing construction, I've seen less than 10 black people out on the jobs. They don't like working outside. And the other thing was, there was a lot of South American, Spanish, and Mexicans, but there were more white people. This is in Florida in the early 2000s. It was mostly white people doing the construction. And so they tell you guys, oh, white people can't be in the sun all day. We were all out in the sun all day, every day. We had no issues with it. Let me tell you something. White people are the only people who don't mind the sun. The things they tell you are the exact inversion of reality. They're trying to gaslight you into being physically and mentally weak. But let me tell you something. When we would work outside, peak summer Florida, sun beaming down on you, the white people, we take our shirts off, we get tan, we enjoy it. We don't give a fuck. We're up on the roof, sun beaming on us. What the sun does to us is it gives us a tan, and it puts some yellow highlights in our hair. That's all it does to white people. Spanish people, they cover up, they wear long sleeve shirts because the sun turns them a darker shade that they do not like. And that, I am not lying to you. Ask them about it. Why do you guys always wear long sleeves in the sun? They'll tell you. Same with black people. They wear long sleeves because the sun beats them down. The sun on a darker color, it attracts heat. The sun is torture to them, so they cover up too. And I believe that's one of the reasons you don't see a whole lot of black people doing construction in Florida. The sun is too much for them, dude. Imagine wearing a black shirt in the sun. So what they're teaching you, what they're telling you is the white people can't handle the sun. It's the exact opposite of the truth. We're the only people who like the sun, at least out on the jobs I was on and from my experience. And as far as heat exhaustion, I've seen lots of people being tore up from the heat, throwing up from it. And they were not white. And I was sitting there like concerned for them, but also kind of shocked because I felt great. I loved it. When the winter would come, and so when I was doing the sod, we would work spring, summer, fall. And so when the winter would come, we would get no work. If any work, it'd be one job a month or something. But so December, January, February, we wouldn't be doing a whole lot of work. Maybe 3 jobs throughout the whole month, or throughout the whole 3 months. And I'd be sitting there in my apartment wishing I could work, not just for the money, but for being outside and being in the sun and just the workout. Once you're used to that, you can't just sit there. So I'd be sitting there in my apartment. Now, when the season would end and the first couple of weeks off, I enjoy it. I'm sitting around, I'm smoking herb, I'm going out, I'm partying on the weekends, I'm enjoying it. And then, reality sets in and you're realizing, I got a couple $1,000 in the bank, but I also got to pay rent for the next couple months, and I know we ain't gonna be working, so I better tighten up. So after that, I'm just sitting in the fucking apartment for a couple of months watching daytime TV, which is depressing to me because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I don't want to watch Judge Judy. I want to be outside working and making fucking money. You know? So I would literally get depressed. And I'm telling you, physically, I would look all white and I'd feel weak. I mean, I'd be working out doing push-ups and shit, but I just felt like a fraction of myself. And I'm telling y'all, as soon as March would hit and the jobs would start rolling in again, it was a very happy time for us, because me personally, I'd be like, thank God I don't have to just sit around in that depressing apartment all day doing nothing, just waiting for the day to pass. What can you do? I don't got no work, I don't got no money. I'm telling y'all, bro, there's nothing. You gotta stop letting them tell you what you can and can't do. White people don't work outside. Get the fuck out of here. We've been working outside our whole fucking lives. We built the best societies on earth. All right, good. Somebody just sent me a text. All right, I got to respond to that soon. But so, we built the best societies on earth with our bare hands. Stop letting them tell you we don't work outside. I'm telling y'all, I believe you'd be a lot happier working outside. The only downside to hard labor is there's hardly any chicks ever out there. That's the upside to working in an office. You're around a lot of chicks, you know what I mean? But you know, that's the only downside as far as I can tell. And so, you know, don't let these people tell you what you can and can't do or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The sun ain't gonna hurt you. The sun's good for you. I'm half Irish. My father's 100% Irish. My father's dead now. But my father was 100% Irish through and through. My father's parents are from Ireland. My father could get a tan. He, you know, the sun did not bother my father one bit. My father was a fireman. When he was off, when he wasn't working, he was out in the backyard building things and with his shirt off. I mean, my father loved the sun, 100% Irish. So don't let these people tell you you can't be in the sun. You know what I mean? I never wear sunblock. Now, do what you want to do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling, you know. But I'd go out to the beach. I'm out there all day. I might get a little sunburn, but only once. You know what I mean? The only time I'll get sunburn is for the first time in the summer, and my body's still adjusting to the sun. If I get sunburned, I get sunburned. But it'll only be once. After that, I just get tan. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't, like, is that normal? I think it's normal. Like, you know, once I get that first sunburn out of the way, I'm good. I'll be out in the sun for the rest of the summer just getting tan. I live outside. I hardly ever wear a shirt. I put a shirt on for the videos because I just feel like I should wear a shirt on my on my YouTube videos. But as soon as I'm done filming this, the shirt's coming off. And so I don't, you know, I love the sun, bro. So I don't know what to tell y'all. Who's going to pick the crops? I suggest you go do it. It's good for you. Working outside, you get in the rhythm of nature out there with the animals and the plants, and being outside is great, bro. Stop letting them gaslight you into thinking we need to be in offices or pushing pencils and typing on computers, because let me tell you something. That is not for everyone. And I know people who, they do this office work, and I know they would enjoy working outside a lot more, but they're so gaslit, they're so fucking brainwashed that they won't even try. I've even tried to talk people I know into it. I'm like, dude, you'd be so much happier working outside. And they're like, well, no, I've got this issue and that issue. And I'm like, all right, do what you want to do, bro. You know, you want to sit inside and rot under the lights for your whole life? That's go ahead. But I think you'd be better off working outside, getting a workout, getting the tan, the fresh air. To me, it's a fucking no-brainer. I don't know. But so anyways, I guess that's the end of this video. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for the subs, likes, tips. Thanks for the channel members. Thanks for the Patreons. And do I have anything else to say? I don't think so. So, if you want a response to your comment, try to get it in the first 30 comments. And yeah, that's the end of this one. I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.